Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to some of you, good afternoon to others, depending on where you're at. Thank you for joining. If you want to join in the chat and let us know who you are and what team you're from, if you want to link to your LinkedIn, that's what this is all about. So it's all about us meeting each other, sharing ideas, and walking away with either some people to connect with or some good ideas to implement in our own environments. So all right, let's jump in and get started. So today we are going to talk about gamifying your groups. For those of you that may not know me, hopefully most of you do. I'm Denise Sickenetter. I head sales and service at Spinzo. I'll let my other friends here from Spinzo introduce themselves quickly as well. Go ahead, Kyra.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kyra Pritchard, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Spinzo.
Hey guys, I'm Emmanuel Almagian. I'm the CEO of Spinzo, but this is not about Spinzo. It's just about best practices, ticket sales. So
Yes, absolutely. So today we're going to talk about gamifying your groups. So I love this topic and I love this conversation. Candidly, going back to my days when I was a sales rep, which was way back many, many years ago at the Pittsburgh Pirates, I started just doing this myself with my groups and saw great results. So now there's just so many tools and so many options to use that we want to dive into. But I think before we get there, I think it's interesting to just think about competition itself. And we did some self-reflection or kind of some reflection on this as the Spinzo team and said, okay, where does competition come from? And if you think about it, it goes really back to the early days of just survival of the fittest. Like back in, well before our time, in order to even eat, drink, I mean, you were literally fighting against other people or other animals, the environment, all the different things to survive and to continue on. And so competition is just innate in us as human beings in everything that we do in many ways. Why is it so important and what does it help? But if you think about it, competition goes back to that saying, like rising tides rise all, right? So if people are upping their game, and if you think about it just even in your office or wherever, if someone's upping their game, you want to up their game. If someone else is, working out 3 times a week, you're like, I'm working out 4, right? Or shoot, I better get started. And even if you're only going to work out 1 time a week because they've inspired you with their 3 times a week, again, that's the sense that rising tides rise all, right? So competition is all around us. And I know, Emmanuel, you had a lot of thoughts on this about competition and you love this
I
idea
love
of
the business
competition in
competition.
business.
I
So
love
do
the
you want to
business competition.
speak a little bit about
Apple,
that?
yeah, like Apple versus Google, this kind of thing. I actually used to work at Google on Android. I used to love BlackBerry, so that was the battle of them and iPhone and then Android. So like competition is key. It inspires innovation, really, like Sony versus Samsung, Ticketmaster versus SeatGeek, for those in ticketing, Spinzo versus Fivo. So there's a lot of competition that drives innovation. And so employees often compete for promotions. You guys are often competing with each other for rewards. Sales leaderboard. Some of you are in an environment where there's some kind of sales leaderboard. You hit certain goals, you ring a bell, this kind of thing. Entertainment stuff, box office numbers. So you have one movie competing with another. Ratings, which ones are going to get 5 stars, and of course, sports teams, rivalries, fan rivalries. Teams compete on the ice, court, and field. So the idea is, if competition is so big in life, why can't we bring it into our group ticket sales? Why can't we have our groups competing with each other in order to get more volume going through here? And we're not just pontificating about it, we've witnessed it. A lot of our clients have done extremely well when they've added some element of competition to their promotions. So that's why we think it's such a big topic. We've seen it successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into some of the things that we want to share about competition in the groups. And this is where we really want to dive in and get some more feedback from you guys as to what's working or what maybe you may be doing in your groups. But I think the basic of competition in groups goes to fan experiences. So let's, fan experience is kind of the original competition within groups. If you think about it, us as teams or groups go out and say, okay, if you want to sing the national anthem, it's 100 tickets. So we are essentially setting the bar and giving our group a level to achieve to get something, right? So that's back in, that's number one. You could also say it's revenue, or you could kind of change up how that works, and we fluctuate that based on the game. Hey, you want to sing at this A tier game? Guess what? It's 150 tickets. It's not 100. So that is definitely like competition within itself in fan experiences. Being able to take it and create the top groups get something, like maybe the top group of a day, like, hey, the top group coming to our event today is going to get something, that also allows it. But we can take it to the next level too when we think about, if we do fan experiences, can we create multiple tiers? So can we kind of create that? If you think about it, I have a son that loves to play Fortnite, so he's really into gaming, and it's always like, how do I get to the next level? How do I get to the next level? Like, he thrives off of that, like, oh, I unlocked this skin or I unlocked that skin. So how do we do that for our groups? And you can take those fan experiences and you can say, okay, 50 tickets is going to get you this, but if you get to 75, we're going to do this. And if you get to 100, you're going to unlock this. So creating that kind of unlockable experience for your groups within fan experiences is a great way. And it goes back to just literally group sales 101 of fan experiences, that we are gamifying things that way. So Kyra, I don't know if you or Emmanuel, if you have anything to add into it, and then obviously the greater group, if you guys have thoughts on fan experiences as a part of gamifying, jump in.
Yeah, no, just to add the idea of just building scarcity too within the group. So, the first 100 people get an exclusive merch item, or there's only a certain amount of club seats left, and, grab them while they're hot. So either scarcity or creating deadlines where you only have a certain amount of hours for a certain price, or, the promotion ends at a certain time. And so really just building urgency, I think, is huge too for gamifying your groups.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of our clients do these things, like the first 100 tickets get something, as Kyra says, but I think there's an opportunity to be even more creative. For example, if you have schools competing with each other, instead of saying the top school to sell a certain amount, you could say the first school to hit a certain threshold gets something. That first school to hit 50 tickets. So it's about speed and overall numbers as well. I know one of our clients, the Calgary, all the Calgary group there, they do very well with these kind of milestone groups, or the top three groups get ice time, this kind of thing. And I see Courtney's on the call now, and I don't know if Courtney, you're able to share your experience with that.
Yeah, 100%. I think especially kind of what we do is we section off a lot of our groups into certain categories. So very like-minded people, same ages, same interests, that sort of thing. We found quite a bit of success with that, and kind of just, being very urgent when we're talking to people on the phone, I think is a big thing that we've brought into especially the past couple of years with our success, really emphasizing the idea that if you do this, you get this. And the people when we're talking, they're so engaged and they love that idea. And then to actually kind of see that come into fruition through the link. Like the way that you can see how many tickets a team sold or a school sold, or, breaking that threshold, like seeing it physically, I think is something that has been a game changer for us over here with that stuff.
But one of the things you did, Courtney, was you give ice time, right? Like to the top youth sports team, or the top three youth sports teams. So that's that's a great thing, because I think a lot of teams want to play at on the Saddle Dome ice. I'm wondering if there's anyone else, any other ideas on the call of what people have provided for like the top selling group, or if your group hit a certain thing, what kind of incentives or experiences that you've seen work that you've provided. Kinga?
Yeah, a few things that we've done with the Seattle Sounders. One thing that I found works well, we have a lot of limited on-field experiences. So what we've done is, let's say there's a soccer club coming out, we'll write fill in which team you're associated with, and then we'll pick the team that has like sold the most amount of tickets to get them like down on the field for like a post-match photo and stuff. So we'll do like club fundraising initiatives and use an experience to try to like get that competition between all of like the teams within the club. That's one thing that we've found really works. And then also I think one thing is like for pretty like generic spinzos, like if you're looking to do first responders night, healthcare heroes, like all like the pretty basic promos that a lot of teams do, we can actually use like incentives like with Spinzo to be able to just like encourage like those ticket sales as well. Like one thing we do is like our opening ceremonies allows 100 people to go down on the field and either hold like the American flag or a Sounders flag. And we'll just like reach out to all the fire departments and be like, hey, 100 people, like if you purchase tickets through this link, you're entered in a raffle. So I found that like raffles, like it works really well on like the team side with clubs, but also in like those individual promos, which I think is something that really helps like just get them growing. So I found that works super well for us.
Love that, Kinga. And I will say the Sacramento Kings gentleman, I want to say it was Cooper Payne there, did a promotion where he actually started promoting a night that was in March, but he started promoting it literally in like October or November and said, hey, if you register, you pay for your tickets and buy your tickets within the first 2 weeks, your child gets entered into the raffle to participate. So he had all these people buying so far in advance because if they purchased in the first 2 weeks, did they get access to the fan experience? So that's another way. Again, it's just that kind of mind frame of like, oh my gosh, I got to do it now because I want to be a part of that raffle. So I think those types of things can get same thing as you're saying, hey, you purchase this link, you get entered. I think that you can also create some urgency around that by time frames with that as well. Courtney, I want to ask you a question because you said something pretty interesting that it was very quick that you said it, but I think it really makes an important impact. As you said, we segment our groups. So thinking about, like you can go out with like a youth hockey night and you're going to get a huge array of people, but you guys are very, very strategic and you go out with U9, U11, U13. Do you feel like, and then maybe this may be a rhetorical question, do you feel like that creates even more competition because it is only their age group and they're already competing on the ice?
Yeah, really good question. 100% I do. It's kind of funny, even like, especially in Calgary, it's probably similar in a lot of different places. The like hockey community is so tight knit. Everybody knows who everyone is. Different associations, they're all kind of interconnected. They played together before against each other. So I think just kind of the idea of, oh, that's our arch nemesis. We lost against them in this tournament. They're going ahead of us. It's kind of like those little things that just make it super fun. So yeah, I definitely think like segmenting into different age groups, different sports, even between like girls and boys sports and, kind of just the ability to get as many people out as possible would have like, like-minded people, same interests, that sort of thing is a big game changer. As Kinga was saying too, like the first responders nights and stuff, like getting those different groups that again also have the same goals. They want to fundraise and a little bit more exposure, like kind of the ability to segment those and kind of make competition from there, I think is it's huge and definitely a big game changer.
And I think it's interesting when you talk about like these bigger theme nights. Like we did a hometown heroes night for an NHL team years ago, and they did a live leaderboard through Spinzo, and it was literally police versus fire. There was nothing other than bragging rights, but those two occupations internally like are very competitive. It's like, oh no, we're better because we stay at the firehouse. We work 24-hour shifts. Oh no, we're better because we only work these shifts and we have a gun, whatever. We have a hose, we have whatever they want to like, but they are intrinsically like so competitive amongst each other and feel like they are better than the, so like, let's play into those things, I mean, I've never seen a healthcare or heroes night, but have you ever thought about doctors versus nurses? I know there's sometimes some animosity between the two, and nurses are like, well, we do all the work, but doctors are, I think it could be interesting if you took those two and pit them against each other, knowing that, maybe there's not healthy competition in some ways, but there's healthy competition in a lot of ways. And it's like, well, we're going to beat you this way, and I think that's fun to add to the mix. Other examples of competition that you've brought with different theme nights or different groups or categories of groups that have been really responsive to competition that we haven't maybe mentioned, or something that's been unique for you? Anyone can jump in. Don't be afraid.
Just to
Go
add
ahead,
to your
Jack.
point. Oh, go ahead.
Jump in.
We actually used the leaderboard to kind of pit our supporters groups against each other.
Nice.
So it was a competition between the supporters groups to see who could sell the most. And there wasn't an experience tied to that. It was just $1 from every ticket went to a charity to
Mhm.
help promote local soccer. And so they all got on board and came a whole thing throughout the season.
I love it. I love it, Jack. Thank you.
That's great.
Go ahead, Kyra. Were you going to jump in?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, going back to your point of like competition coming from this like sense of pride or ownership, right? Like the nurses versus doctors or fire versus police. I think it's so interesting. Like, I don't know if you guys seen, Starbucks put out those like tip jars out in front of their counter, and it's like, to Manuel's point, iPhone versus Android or Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, whatever is like a trending topic at the time, and you just see all this money in there because people just have this innate wanting to just cast their opinion, and take ownership of what that is. And I think you see it in your everyday life, whether it's like hanging flags from your house or bumper stickers, people just have this sense of pride and ownership. And so it's like thinking outside the box of how you can bring that to your game day is so interesting.
Yeah, love it.
Marvel versus DC, there's
Yeah.
so many things, that you could just bring to your stadium or your venue.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to think about the different theme nights or things that we do. I was at my local MBA team this past weekend, and they had their junior dance clinic and the performance at halftime. And I think we've all kind of seen those, especially if you have a field or, you use the cheerleaders, whatever. Like, have we ever brought a competition into that? These girls are likely coming from multiple dance studios. Do you bring something into that where, hey, the dance studio with the highest number of participants is going to get an extra photo on the court, or maybe they get to come back and do a rah timeout with the cheerleaders or the dancers or whatever, maybe like, can you take something and do that? Or maybe that means a dancer or cheerleader, whatever you guys call them, gets to go to their studio and help them for an hour on a specific thing. I know the resources from a dancer or cheerleader perspective are a little bit easier than a player. So could we do something like that? And I just instantly, I was like, well, why didn't we ever gamify that? Like, I'm like getting mad at myself for back in the day. I'm like, why didn't we ever do anything where we created a competition with that? So I think you have to think about every single thing that you do. And even, like a Grateful Dead night, there's multiple different groups that are, Deadhead groups. Like, how do you create them? I even think this goes into influencers. Like, how do you take influencers or people that are, like experts in a certain, maybe you're having a fitness night and you take all the different, types of gyms, because people are very passionate about the gym that they go to, right? I'm a passionate Orange Theory fan. I know there's people that are very passionate, F45 or whatever it may be. Like, do a fitness night and pit these gyms against each other. So who's the strongest, right? Like, who can really hang? Go ahead, Kinga. I'm rambling.
No, you're all good. I had a really good idea when you said influencers. One thing that we talked about last year, we didn't actually like pull the trigger to do it. I have not seen Love Island, so to be honest, I don't remember the character that people were talking about, or the
Okay.
not character, geez, the person that people were talking about. But I think there was somebody that was like Seattle local based, and we were honestly thinking of like how would we do like something with like a influencer and like be able to create like a Spinzo offer, and then he can like share it out like on like almost do like a meet and greet like first like maybe 200 people that purchase. So that's like definitely something like if other teams, we didn't end up doing it and stuff, but like we had the idea of like how do you do almost like meet and greets. It's like but encouraging people like to be at a Sounders game or any other sports game. So that's something that I'd want to try, and it could be fun to like gamify it.
I love it. I think Kinga, and I'm just thinking about this because I'm obsessed with Love is Blind, and the new series or the new what do you call it? Season comes out on Friday. But you guys had a Love is Blind from Seattle, and there were multiple couples that got married. So people could choose their favorite couple, and maybe a lucky person if you chose your favorite couple.
It was Love is Blind. It was
Okay.
Kwame.
Yes.
And sorry, I've like not seen the show, but everybody like
Oh,
obsesses
good.
over it. And I feel like so behind because we wanted to do like a ticketing initiative and have like Kwame come out, but like we obviously like didn't put into fruition. Like it was just a bit rushed last year, but I feel like that is like a way to get influencers, boost attendance, and like work through Spinzo with it.
And you had some pretty juicy, there were some pretty juicy storylines from the Love is Blind Seattle. So, you know, there's a couple that's married and now has a baby from there, but he didn't originally pick her. So there's, you know, you could do some really fun things. And I think even now that, you know, that was a couple years ago, but the series is coming out right now and will likely run through March-ish, you know, they stagger it. Like, do you still have an opportunity to do that? You know, I don't think that that's completely died because there'll be a lot of excitement talking around the current season. So you just struck a nerve, Kinga. I love it.
You made Denise excited.
I did. I was, and then I thought about, oh my gosh, the new season is starting Friday. I'm so excited. So, what other types of ideas or groups or theme nights have you guys brought competition into? Or do you want help from the larger group to talk about, hey, how would I do this? Or what can we have this going on in our city? How could we do something? You know, this is a group that can help each other and bring ideas to fruition.
I was just going to maybe, Denise, summarize some of the, because I think some people can't think of all the potential groups that can compete with each other. And so I've just made some notes on the one. Schools is a big one. Schools competing with schools. You can provide a big incentive, of course, like maybe a player goes to visit a school at the top selling school. Colleges can compete with each other. Maybe you could play their theme song as the opening song. Youth sports teams, nonprofits. Companies can compete against each other. Corporate departments within a company. Scout troops is another big one we haven't talked about. Sororities and fraternities, so it could be on a live leaderboard, so that could be a big one. Denise mentioned police versus fire, and that got me thinking, you should even do broader associations, like say accountants versus lawyers, like the battle of the bean counters versus the hired guns. Like who has more fun? Who can bring more people to a game? So there's a lot of different potential competitive groups that you can do. So sometimes we don't always think of them.
Apartment complexes, was it Charlotte
Yeah.
and Denise who did Clash of the Complexes and basically had all the nearby complexes competing against each other, and I think the winning complex got like some sort of party or player visit at their apartment complex. So that's one that I wish I did when I was in groups. So that's a good one. Going back to school, some fun ideas that I've seen just outside of the box things. We did one where the winning class, so it was like an elementary school, so competing grades, got to be the person that dumped a pie in their principal's face on the field. And that one was really good. So I know that one's off the wall and kind of different. You have to have a principal that would be willing to get a pie in the face. But, you know, that gets the kids really excited. You know, they want to be the one that dumps a pie in their principal's face. So just kind of thinking outside of the box of some things that aren't your traditional fan experiences. Pizza parties at the school where the mascot brings pizzas and they have like a little lunch party at the school. Those do really well.
I'm going to throw something out there, and I've not seen this, but it's coming to me just listening to all of you here. And I'm titling this Battle of the Unsung Heroes.
I like it.
You can take that title wherever you want, but this is my thought process. If you have 10 groups coming to an event, invite all 10 of them to submit the name of somebody who has been at their company for X number of years, who never gets any recognition. They always do their work. They're there on time. They're always making stuff happen. And they are the representative at a table where all of the unsung heroes are at one time paraded, and you get to like meet all the people. So all the groups get to meet all the unsung heroes. And you can actually do that Starbucks thing where you can vote with money with the jar as do the unsung heroes. And whoever gets the most money at the end of the night gets to bring that money back and either give it to the charity that the company puts, or they put it to their fund to have a party at their own place or something.
I love it.
But the idea is the person who is representing the company is somebody who really lives, eats and breathes, loves where they work. They just never get the opportunity to express and to kind of be front and center. So anyhow, you can spin that however you want, but that's
I love it.
That's great.
I love it, Bill. I think too, it could be really interesting that, you know, typically there's a player on a team that is considered the unsung unsung hero. I can't say that. You know, that's a player that kind of flies under the radar, but they always do a little bit every night to make sure that the team wins. You know, so could that be tied into something around that player if that's feasible for you? I think it could also be an interesting way to go about something with a chamber of commerce that has a lot of businesses that are a part of, you know, or a business networking organization that has lots of companies tied into it. But I love that Battle of the Unsung Hero. I think that's really cool. I think you could also too. So I know a lot of teams do Sing for Santa, or you could do Battle of the Bands, but you bring that into the bowl or into the stadium, and then literally have, you know, you can do things with your phone and have people vote. And have people vote, and the winning band gets something. You know, you could have a thing before with how many tickets they sell, but based on their performance, they get something, and bringing it in game is really cool. So there's so many ideas around this. This is the kind of stuff that makes me excited when we talk about what we do with group sales and filling the building and bringing some excitement beyond, you know, just the game. You know, I think about our friends. So we work with the Dallas Mavericks, and I think about them. I just read the article this morning in the Sports Business Journal about the PR and the struggles that they're having after the epic trade. So, you know, do you take that, and from a perspective of competition, hey, who would you go after now? Who would you want, you know, on the team now? Who would you make a trade for? You know, what is the team missing? You know, I think it's you know, you can take things that go bad in our world too, that are out of our control, but how do we put some, you know, excitement or some positivity around it? Go ahead, Maddie, jump in.
Yeah, so I'm with the Royals this year, and we are testing out kind of on the idea of like having that competition. And I apologize, I'm working from home, so if you hear my baby, she's fine.
Do not apologize.
But
All good.
it's called like a drumline extravaganza. So we're having a bunch of schools bring their drum lines out, and pre-game, they're going to have like a mini competition, kind of like a bracket style in the parking lot. And the top two winners will get to come out on the field and do the battle for one of the like pre-game things. And so that's just a great way, because one, all the schools are going to want to come out and support and stuff, but then the two teams kind of get to battle it out in front of everybody in the stands. And so I think that's kind of like along the same lines. And so don't know how it's going to go quite yet, but I think it has a great potential.
I think that's cool how you're doing it before, and then bring the final two kind of almost to the masses to say, okay, now you guys decide. We've already whittled it down, but here you guys decide like who's the best of the best. That's really cool. I love that idea, Maddie.
I was just going to bring up another concept, Denise, for gamification. We've been talking a lot about having groups compete with each other and subgroups, but there's also internal gamification. We've seen this work very well, where sometimes you'll have a sales staff competition. So you have a particular game or a theme night, you give a different link to every rep or even just every employee at the whole. We've seen that happen with one of our NBA clients. Every employee has a unique link to the promotion, and they all try to push it out there, and the top employee gets something. Or you could have teams, like different teams or departments can compete with each other. Or you can even have some kind of internal fantasy league where you have some kind of draft, and it's like, oh, I'd like to have Kyra on my team. I think she could sell this very well. And then you form the teams that way. So this kind of internal gamification could also be very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's also one more concept around timing. So you can also compete with yourself by having purchase deadlines. So a lot of promotions already have purchase deadlines, but you should put a countdown clock right there and say, you know, you only have 2 days left to buy this, and counting down. I know we have a feature that allows that. But you could even have things like, if people buy before 8 p.m. today, you get a bonus merch gift. Yeah. So you're incentivizing people to buy early. Or you could say, look, if you have to buy within the next 2 days or the price goes up, and then the price goes up 2 days later. We had one of our NHL clients do this for Cyber Monday, where the price was literally going up every hour. So like this creates this game where it's like, all right, honey, let's go. Let's get these tickets right now. We have 8 minutes left before the price goes up. So they may sound like gimmicks, but they work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other thoughts or things to add? I know we're coming up on time and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We appreciate all of you joining. Hopefully you got inspired, got some excitement. I know I got excited and got inspired. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, hi guys. I'll just quickly jump in. Just quickly, my background's AFL in Australia, despite being English. So yeah, I'm 6 months into the role. I understand some of you guys have a dedicated group sales manager. It's kind of one arm of what I do in group sales, member events, member fulfillment. So yeah, great to kind of just lean into the North American market and see what's going on. So yeah, jotted down plenty of notes. So thanks everyone. Yeah, I think for me, we go really well with, I don't know how feasible this is for you guys. We have our headquarters nearby, our training facility and headquarters nearby. So finding a lot of traction with offering out a pre-game tour and meet and greet at the HQ / networking event. So we've got a group of, the next one coming up is a group of carers that don't actually see each other. They belong to a group. The carers don't actually see each other. He reached out, he wanted to get them networking. So offered a pre-game HQ tour, and they're going to come around and kick the footy, what's known as the footy down in Australia. It's more like a rugby ball to you guys. So yeah, just getting a lot of traction with networking opportunities. I don't know if anyone else kind of gets that.
Anyone else have good experience? Taylor, jump in.
Yeah, so we actually have experience, James, with networking here. Coming up next week, we're actually selling a suite through a local chamber that we're a part of, where they buy the ticket at the per ticket cost of the suite. So for us, a suite 18, the smallest, is at $742. That's 41 and 24 cents per ticket. So they buy that. We're providing some hors d'oeuvres for them, just some light munchies if they want to purchase alcoholic beverages. It just happens to be on our $2 beer night, the last one of our season. So they'll be able to go down to the full service restaurant on our suite level, purchase that and come back. But basically their access in is when we open the doors for groups. So they'll network, see part of that. Some of the people involved or coming out to that will be on what we call our fan zam. It's a hollowed out Zamboni that no longer cleans the ice. It just drives around for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then the real Zambonis follow it and come out and start cleaning the ice at 3 points throughout the game. So just getting them involved. We've had a bigger networking event where we activated one of our group amenities. This was prior to a game. So like 2 days before a game, we had over 60 people here in the building. And then the other thing, James, I don't know if Teamwork Online makes it down to the lane of down under, but we had, so Teamwork Online came and did an event here with us. They dropped the puck. They had some in-game experience. We had over 50 to 60 future sports professionals here in the arena, to the point where by the end of the event, they were already talking to us about next year, and we don't have our schedule just yet.
It's awesome.
That's great.
All great ideas. And James, kudos to you for being up this early.
Yeah, it's a bit easier than England because the sky isn't so dark. So yeah, it's not so bad in Australia.
What time is it?
A little bit
for you?
easier.
Is it like?
It's 6:30 a.m.
There you go. Kudos to you. You get the award.
No, it's really appreciate being able to kind of lean into your ideas. Yeah, seems it doesn't get the love and attention here. Just a bit more context. Like I'm in Sydney, but AFL's actually got its heartlands in Melbourne, which they're quite spoiled. The ticket sales look after themselves. I don't really have any colleagues that dedicate themselves to this space. There's no one really I can lean on in it. Because Sydney, otherwise, it's very difficult. We're in rugby heartlands, and it's very difficult to sell it. So, yeah, always looking for kind of ways to think outside the box and get new faces into the game.
You got it. Well, these calls will help you for sure. We will have them monthly. So. Yeah. I don't remember our date for, is it next month, March 12th?
March 12th.
March
and
12th.
I was just going to say to everyone, you can right now go to ticketplaybook.com. We're actually building some articles on there about best practices in the industry. We have a handful now. We're going to do a bigger launch of it in the coming weeks. But if you do go to ticketplaybook.com, at the top, you can click on upcoming discussion sessions. you'll see March 12th. That one is about diving into the data. So it's all about how you can slice and dice your data to make better sense of your ticket sales. So you can register for that right now on ticketplaybook.com. And while you're there, you can hit the subscribe button. Some of you are already subscribed because we used to have an older list, and some of you joined our sessions during COVID. But you can hit that subscribe button, put your name and email. And if you're not subscribed, then you'll get the email updates as well.
Absolutely. And that dive into data isn't just about, more BI type things. It really is, how do you generate data too on your promotions? Like, how do you help yourself build and ask questions that are going to drive the opportunity for you to grow your sales? So it's a two-way street. Any other comments or thoughts for the good of the group on gamifying? All right. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us. If you have any questions specifically for any of us here at Spinzo, you know where to find us. Reach out to us. We're here to help. Feel free to reach out to each other. And then until next month, we will see you guys then. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Courtney,
guys.
for speaking up too on your night. We appreciate you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.